Hi there, this is Carolyn Doughty and I'm making a video today about putting an armature in a blank silicone baby. This baby is a blank that has been ordered by a customer of mine. Her name's Kathy, and she's asked me if I put armatures in it. She said she wanted full body armatures, so I'm going to be showing you today how I insert a full body armature into this baby. So basically it's going to go through from the head into the spine, out into each of the arms and legs, so the baby will be able to be posed in any position and it will stay in that position. It will make it slightly less cuddly because obviously, you know, it's got the structure through it, but it's all a matter of what you want from your baby, really. So I usually pour my babies in a very soft silicone, so this is my very soft silicone. I call it my mallow silicone. So it's maybe slightly different technique to somebody who's got their baby poured in, say, EcoFlex 20, which is quite a bit harder. So it might be different getting the wire through. It'll be the same basic principle, but you may find it's different. You may have to use slightly thicker wire because the harder it is, the less flexible it is, if you know what I mean. So whereas if that had wire in it, it could go like that easily and it would stay there. If this was a harder silicone, it would be more difficult to bend it into certain positions and it would try and push back into the original position. So I don't know, but it's possible with a baby that's poured in a harder silicone, like, say, as I say, EcoFlex 20 or harder, it might you might struggle with this size wire. But I don't know, because I've never actually wired up a full body baby that's poured in EcoFlex 20. So it's probably very similar, to be honest. It's the same technique. It'll be the same technique. Now, I don't know. Everybody probably has their own technique. Nobody's actually said this is the way to do it, and nobody can say this is the way to do it. We all have our own ways of doing it. Some of us show other people, and then the other people say, "Oh no, that's not how you do it." Well, you know, we all have different ways of doing it, and there's no right and wrong way. This is just how I do it. So. You know, if you prefer to do it in a different way, then that's fine. But it doesn't mean I'm wrong. It doesn't mean you're wrong or whatever. So what I'm going to be doing, so what I've got is obviously my baby. I need a sharp scalpel. I use the one with the curved blade, but you don't have to. I've got a couple of scalpels here. Tweezers, which are always useful no matter what you're doing. Little scissors, which again are always useful no matter what you're doing when it comes to sorting out your baby. I've got some armature wire. Now this is 2.4mm aluminium armature wire. You can get it from Amazon, you can get it from model shops, you can get it from, you know, sculpting suppliers. So I'm using 2.4 millimeters. Again, you need to work out what works for you. If I'm doing wiring up a smaller doll, I'll use a thinner wire. Actually, at this point, I wonder if I should. No, I'm going to push on with this anyway. Right, and what else do I need? So I need that. I need some Platsil gel for closing up seams and things. That looks like. I'll just throw one in the bin because I've just decanted it. So I use Platsil Gel 00, which is the softness approximately of, it's 0030, so it's very similar to it's just slightly firmer than the silicone it's poured in, and it comes in A and B, but I tend to decant it into smaller bottles to make it easier to use. You'll need brushes, you'll need fan brushes like that. You'll need thinner. Now I use Bob Ross thinner. I've just decanted it into here. Bob Ross Odorless Thinner. What else do you need? You'll need, oh, and you need needle and thread. That's how I close up the seams anyway, until they're cured. So I'll be showing you that a little bit later. Oops. So I've got quite a thick thread here, very different colour to the flesh because you want to be able to see it to take it out later, and a good sized needle. Okay, so I'm going to put these on one side and get started. Obviously the usual things like, you know, a kitchen roll or centre feed rolls or something, and yeah, I think we're just about there. Right, so what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to pull out a piece that is quite a bit longer than the baby, sort of. It's that much longer. So if I pull out the legs, it's got quite a bit of extra give, and I'm just going to fold it over and pull out the same amount on the other side. So I've got, I've got the same amount on each side. It's not a nice job doing the armature, I've got to say. It's just not, it's a horrible job, but it's worth it at the end. I'm just going to cut this off. Oh, the other thing you might need is some pliers, a pair of, you know, any kind of pliers. These are quite short nose, long nose pliers, but you can have any kind of pliers. There's another pair. I think these are really useful to have anyway. That's for twisting the wire. So I've cut one piece and I'm going to cut another piece the same length. So I'll have two pieces, approximately the same length, fold it over, pull it out the other side. And snip it off. There, and drop it on the floor. Right, oh, can I get to this? Yes, just about. Right, so I'm going to put these two pieces of wire together, and I'm going to make a kind of circle at the top and twist it round like that. I'm just going to go and see what the dog's barking about. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. Right, so when twisting the wire, don't twist it too. Don't use the pliers really. Basically, only do those for steadying it. You don't want. Actually, I'm going to make those a bit bigger. Basically, this loop is going to go round the inside of the head like that to enable you to slightly turn it if you want to. So I'm going to make it a bit bigger like that. That'll do. But obviously don't make it the whole width of the head, because it have to go on the inside of the head. You don't want it coming towards too much to the outside of the head. Right, and then the enough for the neck. So it's enough for the head and the neck, and then the arms are going to come out here. So what I'm going to do is put two of the wires out at one side, and then continue twisting the other two wires, which then go down to form the legs. So I'm going to twist these. I'm just going to roll up the arms, because the arms are obviously going to be far too long because I did the two pieces of wire the same. I did that really because it's easier to show you that way. So these continue being twisted until we get down to sort of the hip there, the middle of the bottom. Twist, twist, twist. as I say, twist it firmly, but don't get your pliers and do it really, really tight, because if you do that, you are going to weaken the wire. We don't want that. Right, so the arms go out there. I'm up to here, just need another inch or so. Right, so that's that. Yep, that's about right. Okay, I'm going to cut off some of this excess in the arms. You want to have enough for give, and also for we're going to do a little loop in the hand. So I'm going to get that's how long the thing is. I'm going to give it another 3 or 4 inches just to be on the safe side. Okay, oops, and the other side as well. I'll actually do that the same length. I'll just make it the same length as the other one. Right, and I'm going to the reason I do the 2 loops and not 1 loop and start the arm wires off here is because it's very difficult to get a tight join here with the arms, and what you'll end up with is arms where you move one arm, the other arm moves at the same time. So what we want to do is just make sure that these arms are secured to the head and the spine like that. So these 2 pieces are going to go in the head, that's going to go down in the neck, and then these 2 are going to go out in the arms. Okay, then these are going to go out into the legs. I'm just going to undo that one slightly because I think I've gone slightly too long there, because it comes out into the actual hip here, straight down into the legs. Right, okay, I'm just going to wind this up a little bit so that it's not in the way. And the same with the legs, just for now. Obviously there are pros and cons to putting an armature in your baby. The main disadvantage being that of course it can break. It can break inside the baby, and then it's not that easy to replace. If you're just doing arms and legs, it's not so bad because you can feed it out through the arm, but if you're doing a full body armature, there's not really anything you can do, because you'll see the amount of trouble it's going to take to actually get this armature inside the baby. So basically, yeah, if it breaks, you're just going to have to bear in, you know, if say it breaks at the elbow, it just means that the elbow is not going to stay in place. It'll just wobble a bit like that, which is fine. Right, okay, I'm going to start cutting. So I'm going to get my scalpel, and I'm going to, now don't freak out when you see me do this. Obviously it's not a real baby. Please don't freak out. It is a doll. It's not real. So I'm going to cut down through the back. And stop just in the small of the back here. This scalpel's not actually as sharp as it could be. The neck, just watch you don't go too deep and come out the other side, and then into the head. One nice long, fairly deep cut all the way through. Now the head I'm going to go sort of to the depth of about halfway, and the back I'm going to go deeper because it's got quite a nice big tummy, so I want to be able to really embed that that spine of the armature in there. Right, okay, that looks pretty horrific, but as I say, remember this is not a real baby, this is a doll. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a width wide cut for that to fit in. So where the cut goes to, I'm going in a bit to that, yep. I'm going to do a sort of a sideways round cut. If you go too far and do cuts too much, it's not a huge deal. You can mend it afterwards with your silicone, and it won't show at all. But it's less traumatic if you don't do that. So that fits in there like that. I need to go a little bit further if I can, or squish the. I think I just squish the wire in a little bit. I don't really want to cut any deeper than that. I've only got ½ an inch or so either side. Right, the neck. So that's going to sit there like that, and then the arms are going to go out into the arms here. So I'm going to move the video slightly so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, right, it's not so easy for me because I can't get into the sort of angles that I would normally get into, like I often say on my videos, but I'm just going to have to make do. So this alright, so this arm here, I'm going to get the wire and basically feed it in at the shoulder here and feel it going through into the arm. I'm going to take it as far as I can go, which is usually sort of about as far as the elbow, and then on the inside of the elbow I'm going to do a slit. Because the wire is not strong enough to feed it all the way through in one go. If it was that strong, you wouldn't be able to bend the baby, basically. So what I'm going to do is straighten this out and pull it through. Obviously, as I say, this is a very soft silicone, so it is fairly stretchy. It can get into all sorts of different positions. I've dropped both my scalpels on the floor. Alright, so I'm going to be getting it right up into the shoulder and up here. And I'm going to close it right up as far as the spine here. Right, so as you can see, it's in the shoulder and it goes as far as the elbow. I'm going to do the other one as well at this stage. So get the wire, find where the shoulder approximately is. If you're watching this, Kathy's the person who's going to be painting this doll, and she's probably freaking out right now. Oh, I must get my scalpel off the floor. Luckily it missed my foot. Alright. Again, feed it through, get the little hole that I've just cut in it, feel for the end of the wire, find it, grab hold of it and then pull it out using the pliers. In she goes, there we are. So that's the shoulders and main part of the arm done. I might just get the legs in first before I start doing the other part of the arm. So again, we have the leg, which we try and feed it in as far as sort of here. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing it in from here to here, and I'm feeling it all the way through. So I get the wire and I push it into the hip and feel it coming through the leg. Just, if you're working with a harder silicone, you may not feel it coming through, but you'll know it's there. You can do more slits in the leg. You can sort of do every inch sort of thing if you want to, and feed it through. But the further you can go, obviously, the easier it's going to be to patch it up at the end. Right, it's come out at the behind the knee, and pull. You have to be fairly, you have to have a strong constitution to do this. There we are. Right, okay, and leg number 4, well, leg number 2. Limb number 4. Again, I'm looking in here for where the hips would be, beginning of the leg, so I can push it straight through to come out behind the knee. I prefer to have the slits at the back of the leg, then when the leg bends, it's underneath the bit, it's inside the crease, not on top of it, if you know what I mean. Right, again, grab that with the pliers and pull. So this wire, it's aluminium wire, it's not going to go rusty, it's not going to come to any harm in there. As I say, it might break if you bend it in the same direction at the same place over and over again. It will eventually break. So if for a collector, when you're moving them, move them gently. Try not to bend the wire greatly in any one place over and over again. Say there, bend that over and over and over again. That will break. But as the knee, if you sort of do it gently and do it in different ways, you will find that it's got quite a long life. Generally, people who want armatures in are probably going to be posing and photographing the baby rather than maybe handling them a lot, I imagine. So again, it's probably that's the right type of person really to be having this. So that's okay. I'm happy with that when we eventually put the seam together. So now we'll just do the rest of the arms and the legs. So what I'm going to be doing now is feeding it through from here to the base at the palm of the hand. trying to do it so that you can see the best view. So basically, don't worry about it ripping, that's fine. It's actually come out at a slightly different place to where the slit was, so I'm moving that. So yeah, so I'm going to be putting it back in at the place where the slit was, which is it's torn a bit, which is okay, it's not a problem. And I'm going to take it as far as the palm of the hand, the beginning of the base of the palm of the hand. Make sure that the arm isn't stretched beyond what it was originally, the length of the arm or the leg originally. No stretches, because you could basically make the arm quite a bit longer or shorter than it really is. And the same on the other one. Put it back in. I've seen people when they've put armatures in on some videos I've watched, first of all making a hole with a kebab stick or a skewer. I don't do that. Maybe it's because I use the softer silicone and it's not necessary, but to my mind, if you put a hole in to start with, your wire's still going to find its own way through. It's not going to necessarily follow the tracks of the kebab stick. Maybe it does if it's a harder silicone. I don't know. Maybe that's why it's done that way. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I don't do it that way. Right. So make sure that the arms are the right length. Okay. And I'm going to do the same with the legs. Again, they're going to come out. It's going to come out here at the base of the heel. That's quite a bit too long. I'm just going to cut that a bit. I don't need all that. The longer it is, the more you've got to feed through. Right, in it goes. Feel it in the centre and popping out at the base of the heel. So it looks a bit of a mess, I know, but then as you pull it through, the wire straightens out. Make sure there's no kinks in it, and it slides along the wire nicely, and then back in there. And limb number 4. It's going to poke me through the chest, isn't it? Again, I'll just take a little bit off this. Straight through the middle. Feeling it. I can just feel, I can't actually feel the wire, but I can tell that it's in the middle of the limb, if you know what I mean. I can tell. And if it's not, just pull it back a bit and push it through again in the right direction that you want it. You want it just to go through the centre of the limb. And as I say, you can't actually feel the wire necessarily, but you can feel how it's going through the limb. If you can feel the wire coming out one end or the other, towards one end or the other of where you're holding it, then it's not in the centre and you can redirect it. So if as you're holding it, if you can suddenly feel it, say here a bit, then you're like, oh no, it's not gone through centre, so just pull it back a little bit and feed it through again more centrally, and you can feed it centrally as you hold the limb. Right, so here we are. So we have the head's in place, the spine's in place, the legs are in place, the arms are in place. We just need to do the... Now you'll occasionally get a little dimple like that, and that's where the wire has come a bit too close to the surface of the limb. And what I tend to do is either call it a dimple or slit it, and then you can make sure that the wire, when you actually close it up again, it's not going to be pulling the surface like that. See, so that won't be visible once it's closed. Right, now to do the hands and the feet, which is the one you're looking at, this one. What I'm going to do is at the wrist make a little bend, and I'm going to make a loop that goes back on itself like that. That's the size of the hand. Okay, I'll cut it off there. And just close up that loop. Right. Right, so that loop is going to go across along in the hand. So what I'm going to do now is, where the wire comes out here, put my surgical blade in, and I'm going to cut down and round in the shape of that loop. So basically what I'm doing is going inside, I'm going like that. So I'm cutting a hole, a flat hole for the wire to sit in, like that. Then I'm going to pull it so that it actually goes into that loop, finds that loop. There we are. So it's actually sitting inside that loop now. You can adjust it if it's not quite gone all the way round or whatever, and then that will be closed up. So basically the hand can be turned now. You just have to grasp the loop and turn it. So if you wanted to change the position of the baby's hand, you can just grasp it and turn it. Okay. That looks awful on the camera. It looks okay in real life. Right, now the other one. I'll zoom out for this one. Again, same thing. Going to make a loop. That's about the right size and shape of the hand. Close the loop like that. Okay, then put my scalpel in and cut the palm out. Just watch you don't cut your own hands. These scalpels are really sharp. Except mine isn't. Mine's actually quite blunt at the moment. I need to put a new blade on it. Right. There we are, little handy. There we are. Sometimes you end up with like a little bit of a hole here. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to be filling it with silicone and then sealing it. So that's fine. Right, same with the foot. I'm going to be bending it at the heel. It goes, at least the little Joseph's got quite long feet, so you don't have to go the whole length of the foot, but you can do. I'm going to go sort of like 3/4 down the length of the foot. There we are. That's kind of okay. And the same with this one. I think I might have cut this off a teeny bit too much, but never mind, there's nothing I can do about that. It's not like the hand, you don't have to pose the feet quite the same. The main thing is that we get a loop so that the end of the wire does not come through. Actually, I'll do this one the same, so this is both the same. There we are, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to split. You can actually do a split down and then go round, or you can do like I've been doing and just sort of dig the blade in like that. Again, make sure you don't end up with feet that are much bigger than you started out with, or smaller. There we are. And the same with this one. Soft silicon's so forgiving. You can pull it and push it and all sorts. Just make sure it doesn't come out the side of the foot or anything. There we are. That's come out the side of the foot, hasn't it? Just make sure we adjust that. Right, so that is virtually the actual wiring. So now we're going to seal it all up.
Here's
again.
what I found.
Ooh. Now we're going to seal it all up again now. So I'm just going to take a quick break and I'll be back in a sec. Right, okay, I've just done a bit more fiddling with the foot and I've actually extended the wire in the foot. I've just twisted a bit of wire around it and extended it, so I'm happier with that now. It wasn't okay to have it just floppy, so basically I've just added a bit of extra wire there. It looks messy, but it'll be fine when it's finished. I'll show you. Obviously you'll see when it's finished. Right, now what I'm going to be doing is closing up all these seams. And for that I'm going to use Platzil gel, which is an A and B. It's a platinum silicone. It's designed for pouring just like EcoFlex, but it's a much quicker cure than EcoFlex, and it's thicker, so it's easier to manage, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is a much faster cure, so it's easier to deal with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not measuring, I'm not weighing them out, I just do it by approximate volume. Right, so that's A and B. So I decant them into these squeezy bottles, which I find a lot better to use. I do the same with Psycho paint. Again, decant them into squeezy bottles, label them all up, make sure that there's A and B written on them, and I also have a squeezy bottle with my Bob Ross thinner on. It's so much easier. It's not great when you're decanting it, but it's a lot easier for the rest of your life, for messing up, so you're not messing around with tubs and spooning it out, or trying to work out what you need, because you're needing such small quantities. Right, so I'm not going to put any pigment in this at all. Don't need it. So what I'm going to do now, this is a bit messy, I'm going to put some gloves on if I can find some, or not. Oh, here we are, I found some. I'm going to put some gloves on. I'm not going to put any thinner on it, it's just going to be neat A and B. And I'm going to be getting in a bit of a mess now. So I'm going to make sure that this is sitting right. It's as deep as it can be in the seam. Push it down, push this into the bit. Right, so I'm going to get a brush and, well, I'm going to more or less pour this stuff in. And it's going to be flooding the cavity. It does go all over the place a little bit, but you have to make sure that it's well covered. It's basically going to be forming the seal around the spine and around the wires. So we want it to be sitting in a pool of silicone, basically, so that it doesn't move. I mean, it moves as in being flexible, but it's not going to start working its way anywhere. I'm talking rubbish, actually. It's basically, I just need to cement it in and just watch the surface. So I'm going to put silicone on the inner edges of the seam, and I'm basically going to be stitching this together very deeply and very firmly, so that it sits in the right position while it's curing. It doesn't dribble, it doesn't come out or anything. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I don't know if anybody... It doesn't help when you drop the thread on the floor. So I'm using just a thick, a black thread. I need to be able to see the thread because obviously I'll need to take it out later. So I'm going to be using this black thread and an ordinary big needle, really. If I can find the end of the thread. Oh, excuse me. What do I do with the needle? There it is. Right. Threading a needle with wearing gloves is not the easiest thing in the world, especially when the thread's quite thick. Right, I'm going to start at the top of the head here. So I'm going to just put a couple of stitches in to secure the thread, because I'm not knotting the thread doesn't really help that much because it just pulls straight through. I'm going to do the stitches quite deeply because I want the seam to basically hold from there, not just from the top. I don't want a hollow. I don't want it like a balloon. I don't want air inside it. So I'm going quite deep here. Now I don't know how this works with a harder silicone. It may not work, I don't know, because it could rip. Harder silicones are a lot more fragile to ripping, tearing, you know, like at elbows and knees and lips and things. The harder the silicone, the more likely it is to just tear, I think. So you may find that if it's a harder silicone it might be more difficult to stitch. But anyway, you know, I can only show you what I do. And sometimes you find that the silicone starts spilling out now, and that's okay. We can just blot it off. At this point, the neck is obviously the thinnest part, so very often you'll find it starts spilling out around the neck. But as long as we get those stitches in, it's fine. We can blot it all off. I've just stitched my glove to the baby now. Right, my thread's coming to an end, so I might just do a couple of stitches here just to fasten it off and then start with a new thread. Yeah. Just leave that there. Looks like something out of Frankenstein's workshop, doesn't it? Right, some more thread. It's very sticky, this bit, so it's better to wear gloves at this part. Alright, so just go over a bit of this bit here, put a couple of stitches in to hold it. Again, go in as deeply as you dare, really, without losing the needle completely. The closer you stitch it to the armature, the better it's going to be. That it's going to stay in one place, which it does do. Don't worry. You know, once this is all cured, it will all stay put where you want it. Oops. I'm probably going down about maybe ½ inch. Don't worry too much about ripping the odd piece of flesh, and this will all be invisibly mended. Kathy, if you're watching this, you'll be sitting there going, oh my goodness, why on earth did I ask her to put armatures in it? But I promise all is well. Right, come to the end of the thread. As you can see, I'm not the best sewer in the world, but you know, it's not often you don't get taught at school how to sew up a baby's spine, do you? There we are. Right, so what I'm going to do is allow that spine to cure, and then I'm going to do the rest of the sealing. But this is the worst bit, this is the bit that really matters. So I'm going to wait for that to cure. Platsil gel cures in only about ½ an hour or something like that, so I'm going to go and have my tea and come back and do the rest of it. Okay, right, here we are back again. I've been fed and watered, and that's the Platsil cured. So this is all cured now, and I'm just going to push on and seal up the other bits. So we've got the middle of the arm, the hands, the two feet, and the middle of the legs to do. Okay, so I'm just going to mix some more Platsil. Not quite as much this time. Right. Right, now then, that's on the other side, so I'm going to have to turn that over to do that bit. So I'm going to have to do this in sort of sections. So I'll do the hands, and then the legs and the feet, and then I'll turn him over and do the that bit there. So I need a brush. That will do. You don't need to use good brushes, but they do need to be soft. I just tend to buy cheap artist brushes from, that was a bit where I cut into it, wasn't it, to do the, yeah, I just cut into that bit to release that pinch. It was pinched down. Right, I need some needle and thread. You think I would have sorted this before I came up, wouldn't you? Oh, there's the thread. Probably everyone's sitting there going, the thread's there, I can see it, I can see it. If the seam has closed up in a natural way and it's not going to get any force over it, you don't have to sew it, but I am going to, because I'm going to be turning him over to do the other side of this bit. So I'm just going to put a couple of small stitches in there. See, I should have been a nurse, shouldn't I, or a doctor. I'm sure it's a lot easier to sew up silicone dolls than it is human beings, but anyway, that is something I shall never know. There we are, I'll just hold it together. And I'll do the hand. I need to put quite a bit of silicone into this so that it fills the gap. And holds the wire in place. Looking at this, you'll probably be looking at it thinking this doll is never going to look right, but just wait, you'll be surprised. Just to hold it in place so that it doesn't move and ooze while it's curing and while I'm doing other areas. There we are, that'll do. Just holds the seam together. It's not just a seam that's got the glue, the silicone, of course, it's the underneath part. The bits underneath next to the wires. There we are. You can see all these this big hole here with the wires underneath it. There we are. And back of the legs. Let's put some more thread on here. I'm sure this is very boring, but it'll get better. And we come to the next bit. Alright, this is just the back of the knee opening. I'm just going to give that a bit of a push, make sure the wire's nice and deep in that hole. And that one. As you can see, the silicone's oozing out, so I'll just make sure there's no built up excess on the surface. And then there's the 2 feet. Well, I'll not bend that up. I want to do it at an angle that you can see what I'm doing. These are going to be quite long ones, so I'll need probably more thread than that. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to cure these ones and then come back to that. Okay, so I'll see you in a minute or two. When I say I'm going to cure, I'm actually using warm air. It takes about 30 minutes to fully cure in normal room temperature, but it's quicker with a warm air. So I have a warm air gun, and I'm just putting warm air over, warming the air around the silicone, and it will cure pretty quickly. Right, that's cured to the touch. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of powder, matting powder, on this bit here, because I want to bend the leg upwards to do the feet on camera, so it'll stop the sticky silicone from sticking to itself. Alright, as you can see, the feet are a bit of a mess, but magically they will be fine. Right, this plat's starting to cure. I'm just going to lob it in there. On the other one, the silicone's got a bit gloopy, which is not a problem with it being inside the foot, as long as I can get it in and sealed before it properly cures. Right, here we go. Where's my thread again? Oh, there it is. Right, nice and deep again. Make sure that the wires aren't sort of working their way to the surface of this. This is why there's no point doing knots in this thread. I've actually got a knot in the thread and it's just pulling straight through. That's fine. Right, I need to push on with the other foot before it cures. Silicone's very, very forgiving at this stage before it's painted. Right, I'm just going to cut that off. It's held together adequately. Okay, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a fast cure, the feet, and then I'm going to turn it over and we'll do the other side of these. Okay, right, I'm going to be flipping this baby over to do the stitch on the other side of his arms. So I'm going to just give him a light powder on his along his back so that he doesn't stick to the board when we turn him over. Right, okay, I'm going to flip him over now. So already you can see he's not as floppy as he was. He'll hold a pose. So you can see how he's going to be when he's finished. So he's a lot more sort of sturdy, but he's still got this beautiful softness. He's rather cute actually like this. I just can't decide whether I like them with armatures in or not. Anyway, let's push on with this and we can play with him later when he's fully finished. Alright, just doing this last seam, last two seams. Get some more Pretzel gel. Right. I'll just wire up. Well, I was going to say wire up, thread up this where's the thread? Can't remember what it is. This needle, so I can go straight in as soon as I've put the silicone in. Just realised I had gloves on before, didn't I? So I'm just pulling the stitches sort of tight enough to hold the seam and what's underneath it together, but not so tight that it's going to get all wrinkled up. we are. And the last one. I can't get to this one, so I'm going to have to do it fairly basic. Ow. That was my finger. You think that's funny, don't you? The seams sort of fall together quite nicely, like this one is. I don't need a lot of stitches, just enough just to hold it in place while the silicone's curing. There we are. Right, I'm going to fast cure these last two, and then I'll come back and we'll take the stitches out. Okay. Right. Okay, I think it's time for us to take his stitches out. We'll start with the spine because that's where we started. Any nurses or doctors amongst you will be shrieking at my stitch taking out procedure. I know there's a certain way of doing it. Yeah, I know you're supposed to not nip at the edge and not take the outside stitch through the... Anyway, I'm not going to be doing that because he's very unlikely to catch an infection, isn't he, from the stitch. So, nurses, just close your eyes at this point. And remember, he's only silicone. And Kathy, whose baby this is going to be, please stop worrying. None of this will be visible when I finish. Right, and we have to be fairly tough. We pull at the stitches, and sometimes they're stuck into the silicone. We have to give them really quite a good tug. Because the thread's stuck to the silicone inside the baby as well, so we just have to pull it through. Something very satisfying about doing this. Especially if I haven't got a patient in front of me screaming, saying, "Ow, that hurts." You need to do it with tweezers because you need that extra grip on the thread. There we are. And all the ones out of the back. Just snip the arm ones. When you take the stitches out, sometimes it opens up a kind of a split in the silicone. Don't worry about that because we're going to be going back over this and fixing it. It's only a superficial split. It's not going right down to the actual wire. So it's not doing any harm to the wire. It's actually quite amazing that I haven't demonstrated how I usually stab myself with a surgical blade nearly every time I use a scalpel. I do some kind of damage. There we are. But there's time yet, there's time. There we go, and another handy. Turn them over again. There we are. So we just need to fix them up now. As you can see, the wires are really quite light. They're not like really heavy, difficult to move. It's just a case of just being able to put him in a position that he can stay in that position without him flopping back, as you can see. Right, I'm going to tidy up this bit and then I'm going to prepare for the final fix up where we've done the stitches. Right, okay, so we're going to again start on the back. We'll go right down here and do the invisible mending, and then we'll do the limbs. Right, so what we're going to do is again Platsil gel A and B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think about 15 count of each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's about as near as I usually get, and I've never had a problem with you know, it's got a fairly good margin of error when it comes to sort of the A and B thing. The main problem you want to avoid really is if you always put more of A than B, you're going to end up with some B left over and it'll be a waste. So that's one good reason. What I sometimes do is I'll start with A, I'll do A and then B, and then I'll do B and then A. So if I am not realising it but sort of putting more of one than the other, at least it's random, or as random as I can get it. Right, I'm going to just snip any sticky outy bits. That's the technical term, sticky outy bit. Alright, so I'm going to put a little bit of colour in, not as dense as the colour of the paw, slightly more transparent, and that way it'll be totally, it should be totally invisible, the join. We need a teeny bit more, yeah. So it's a flesh colour, but it's fairly transparent. Right. Oh, forgot to put the Thivex in. Oops. Put that back in there. Put back in there. Not a train smash. Right. One. Well, it's supposed to be 2 or 3 drops, but I did a sort of without meaning to. It was a. So that's again the technical term is the Thivex. No, seriously, don't put too much Thivex in. Really, you want the equivalent to a couple of drops. That's all, in a small amount like this. I'm not sure I understand. Oh, shush. If you put too much in, it can cause a problem with the cure. It will cure eventually, but it can take forever. So you don't want to do that. Maybe it's a little bit too transparent, this, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe I'll put a teeny bit more of the colour in. With it having quite a heavy line going down the seam, it probably takes more covering up than a normal fix of mine would. There we go, 3rd time lucky. Yeah. So this is yeah, I don't think I mentioned Thivex when I first started talking through what we'd need. So we need Thivex, which is a thickener, which is compatible with, it's made by Smooth On for the Smooth On silicones like Dragon Skin, and it's not very compatible with EcoFlex, but it's fine with Platsil. I've used it many times. So it's great. So I'm just slapped it on. I'm going to smooth it. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping now. Just got to get my tea too quickly. Right, this is just literally Bob Ross thinner. It looks a bit discoloured, but it's not actually. And I have a wet fan brush, and I literally just go so lightly over the top of the surface. I'm not dragging the paint at all I'm doing is wetting the surface and just kind of evening it out. Trying not to drip it down the front, because if I drip it down the front it can cause a bit of a tide mark on the front of the baby. So again, that's something we don't really want to do it, certainly not at this stage when we're so near the end. So close. There you go, Bubba. That's better, isn't it? Obviously this one's being sold as a blank, so I have to make sure he's pretty good, but actually when you come to paint the blanks, you know, I don't know, maybe I never can guarantee a totally perfect baby. He's handmade, he's not manufactured, and he's never going to be perfect, but he's going to be flipping nice, flipping cute, flipping good. So if flipping good is good enough, I think that's good enough, really. You know, I don't particularly value perfection as in a perfectly beautiful finish, perfectly manufactured looking doll, certainly not at the blank stage. But you might do, you know, but then you may end up paying, you know, a couple of £1,000 for a blank. You know, a lot of people do. I know for the really well known sculptors, but it's often the reason for the high price is because it's been through quite a few different people's stages. You know, what somebody sculpts it, and they obviously have to make enough on it, and somebody else has to mould it, and they have to take their cut, and somebody else you know, does something else and they take their cut. By the time the doll's finished, it's sometimes gone through 3 or 4 different people's hands, and they all have to make a living. So, you know, fair enough. But if you have a doll that's just been made by one person, sometimes it can be a lot more reasonable. Right, that's the back. I'm going to try and move on to the feet while he's lying on his back. Just going to trim any sticky uppy bits off. Now it's started to cure. Now I can't use that. When I've mixed another lot, I might just do this area again, because you can just see the seam a little bit through the silicone. Okay, I'll come back in a bit. Right, I'm just mixing up another lot of Platsil gel. I'm just gonna a couple of drops of 5X in it. Sorry, 5X. That's what this is. Somebody contacted me and said, "What does 5X mean? How can I get 5X?" They thought I meant 5X. So obviously I wasn't being very clear. Sometimes I just assume people know what I mean. But they let me know. Right, just doing the balls of the feet. Smooth it out with the wet brush. Luckily with this baby I don't actually sculpt a lot of detail in the bottom and the bottom of the feet. If we did, we'd have to be really careful we didn't lose any of that detail. I think I might have to do a little bit more around there when I've got the... I'm just going to do a bit on the hand, I've noticed. This isn't to do with the wiring up, it was just to do with the general fixing. Right, I'm going to pop a little bit more on this area here. This is now cured, so I'm just going to pop a little bit here so that it's not visible up the back of the neck and the head. Probably the head will be rooted, I would imagine, but maybe not. Not everybody wants to root it. Some people want to paint it or leave it bald, so... My reminder to put my bins out. Alright, I'm just going to let that bit cure before I move on to the rest of it. And I'll go and put my bins out, I think. Right, okay, I'm just giving this a bit of a powder. But as you can see, I'll lift it up and whoops, bring it closer to the camera. That back, you'd never think that had been split in two and sewn and all sorts, would you? Right, I'll turn him over. Okay. I think I'll actually turn him over onto his front and do the back of the legs, backs of the legs. These bits here, they're not too bad, but they do need a bit of a patch up, so I'll just do those, and then I can turn them over again. Right. A, that's B, and A, mix, pigment, mix, 5x, not 5x, 5x, one drop I think. He's very, very little. Mix, 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 mix. Mix, 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 mix. And slap it on. Right, smooth it out. I might put a bit more on this one because you can see through it a little bit. There we are. Right, I'll just cure those bits before I turn it over again. Right, again, give it a little bit of powder so that it doesn't stick until it's completely cured. Silicone, although it'll say, usually says on the instructions a cure time, it'll say demold time. So say for instance Ecoflex, you can demold after 4 hours, but it's not 100% fully cured. I think it takes several days really to become fully cured, certainly 24 hours. So it might be touch dry, and it may be you may be able to sort of pull it out the mould, or fix it or do things to it, but it's not 100% reached its full strength until it's fully cured, which, as I say, is a different thing altogether, which is why we usually say not to handle silicones too much for a few days after they've been made. God, my brain's going. It's getting late now. The rooting, I'd rather leave a baby a few days after painting it before I start rooting it, because rooting it, obviously you're handling the baby, even if you wrap it in a plastic bag or in saran wrap, or cling film as we call it here. It's still going to, this is actually cured, it's still going to be fragile. It's not. It's going to be touch dry. It's going to look like it's fully cured, but it's not going to be. However, that's a really good time to work on it. Say painting over it. It's better to paint over a silicone that's not 100% cured if you can. So if you're doing a mould and you're layering it, it works in your favour that you might layer over it as soon as it's touch dry. It's maybe only an hour, 2 hours. Lay over it again. It's going to be able to adhere to it a lot better than if you leave it for a week when it's absolutely 100% dry, 100% cured. In industry, when they're making these big silicone moulds, they actually heat them to quite high temperatures not the platinum moulds that we make the babies in, but these sort of big silicone moulds. They heat them to high temperatures, which gives them an extra strength. So heat is not something that is a problem for silicone at all. Obviously you don't want to, you wouldn't put your silicone under quite high temperatures, or even your dragon skin mould, but silicone definitely does not dislike being warmed. It likes warm weather. It cures a lot quicker in warm weather, and it strengthens quicker. Right, I'm just going to do this bit and the hands. If I can find my 5x, there it is. Not 5x, 5x. Right, where is my paintbrush? There it is. It's getting quite late now, but I want to finish this tonight if I can. I can get on with other things tomorrow. So we're just smoothing it out, using thickened silicone, smoothing it out. That might need another coat. And the hand. It's not bad at all, this one. Right, have I done the backs of the knees? I have, haven't I? Yes. So I've done the feet, I've done the backs of the knees, I've done the arm, have I done this arm? Done that hand, done this hand. I think I'm more or less there. So apart from just adding a little bit of silicone to the bits that are not great. When I say not great, they're just showing through some of the shadows where there's been a deeper cut. Obviously when this baby is painted, you wouldn't see any of these bits anyway. Right, I think I am going to just cure this now, and then I'll powder it and I'll show you the finished baby. Right, so here he is. As far as I can see, he's ready to go home. He's got these soft wire armatures in him. I've got powder all over my hands, which just give him that extra little bit of posability. But he's still soft and squishy, soft as butter. So he's ready. I think he's ready to go home to his mum or artist. I'm not sure if she's painting him to sell or whether he's going to be hers. Whoever, Kathy. And he'll be coming home. She said that she didn't mind if I didn't send him before Christmas, because she knew I wanted to take a bit of extra time to put the armatures in. But if she wants him before Christmas, she can have him. If not, I'll keep on hold of him until it's time. So yeah, he just has that little bit of extra posability. So I'll pop him in his bag. And he'll be going home as soon as his mum's ready for him. There we are. All ready to go home. You okay, little boy? Right, well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.